Welcome to the Global Pool Party for the longest swim for the longest day. Thank you so much to the Outdoor Swimming Society for making this happen. It's been a pleasure to be involved. I'll let you crack on.
Well, thank you very much, Rob. Hello, everybody. Lovely to have you here on a beautiful, sunny summer solstice. I've loved the summer solstice for many years, but this is my first ever summer solstice on Zoom, and I'm enjoying it. Not something I would have imagined a few years ago, but it's very good to be here. My solsticing has moved really from quite a lot of years of spending it trying to sleep on top of large hills in bivy bags on overnight micro adventures. And I'm delighted that this year it's moved to being a swim-based one, and to be helping a little bit the wonderful Outdoor Swimming Society with their pool party and their longest swim. I discovered the Outdoor Swim Society probably many years ago, many years ago, from Kate's wonderful Wild Swim book. And what I've really enjoyed over the recent years is seeing how wild swimming, outdoor swimming, has moved from being, or at least in my mind, quite a solitary wandering around looking for little gems and nookies and secret little swim holes, to being this community, this wonderful online at the moment, but real life as well, community of people who love swimming in all its different guises. And I think the Outdoor Swimming Society, with help from Outkit, have done a brilliant job bringing all of us people together with this overlapping love of swimming. So I'm very happy to be here. We've also got loads of people to talk to tonight, and I've got some extremely strict timing. So I'm going to be like on Radio 4 Today program, trying to axe everyone mid-sentence. And therefore I should stop waffling and get on with talking to Kate, introducing Kate Rue, who's the founder, president, life captain of the Outdoor Swimming Society, and just general superstar that makes all these things happen. Kate, thank you for all your hard work getting this and so many things up and off the ground. What have you been doing today? Have you been out for a swim?
I have been out for a swim. Yes, I had my biggest, longest swim at the weekend with a group of friends going down the River Avon in Somerset. And then today I treated myself to a short and solitary swim underneath the grey skies, somewhere very close to me in Somerset, which was lovely.
Very nice. Yeah, it's one of the delights of doing a swim on the summer solstice rather than sleeping on top of a hill is it doesn't really matter if it rains very much. I had a very rainy dip in a river. It's been lovely. Have you always combined the solstice with swimming? Have the two always been connected for you?
I'm just enjoying the photos. That's us having a bagel stop at the weekend. It was a swim that seemed to go on for quite a long time. Yes, I have, right in the early days. There we are, recovering from our efforts. Yeah, in the early days, the Outdoor Swimming Society used to have a midsummer party in London, and having had to cancel all of our kind of English events where we all met in the flesh, it just felt like a really nice way to be together, even while we're all being held apart. But also we've had such an increase in inquiries for quite a while now from people in other countries saying, how do we establish the sort of swim culture that you've got over in the UK, where we are, that it just felt like a really good opportunity to try and do something that we could all talk to each other, which is what I've really been enjoying about the event, almost as much as swimming underneath the grey sky today.
Yes, yeah, very much so. So you've worked so hard for so long trying to grow the OSS and generally evangelizing about outdoor swimming. Why is the community sense of swimming important to you? Because it's in some ways a very solitary thing to do, but it seems that the community is an important part to you.
I just think it's such a good thing in life that I just feel compelled to share it. And I just think all of the things, it's always hard to know really, to have a good view of yourself, isn't it, in terms of self-awareness. But I studied things like psychology and philosophy, and then I was a health journalist. So I think all my life I've been trying to give people little keys that they can unlock happiness with. You know, your thing's obviously micro adventures, but my thing is really swimming. And while it's solitary and I really enjoy swimming on my own, I absolutely love sharing the experience of it and the ideas. So like the armchair travel that I've been doing today, you know, I've been following a swimmer in Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi has done 6 kilometers in a 32-degree lake, or there were some swimmers in Belgium who were swimming through the city centre. And then like all over the weekend, or lots of people having issues with the swims that they planned. And it's, you know, we're almost kettled as swimmers right now in the UK because we've hit the tipping point and there's so many people, but still not quite enough places to go. Then actually on this one day, it's really lovely to see swimmers in mermaid tails in front of a mountain in Washington, or, you know, experiencing heavy thunderstorms in New York, which means they can't swim today, you know, and I really enjoy that aspect, how other people do it and where they do it.
You surprised me there saying that the mermaid was spotted in Washington. I assumed that it was the British mermaid, Lindsay. There's more than one mermaid out there, is there?
There are a lot of mermaid tails, yes, definitely.
Oh wow, this is a niche of swimming I'm currently missing out on.
Well, I think we're going to hear later from the 2 other niches. Sorry, I know you've got a very strict timetable, but we've got someone doing the longest meditation. That was her interpretation of the longest swim or the longest day. And many of us float around and look on our backs, but if we thought about bringing any formal practices to meditation before it, I certainly haven't. And then we had one person who signed up and said he was going to go as far as his 2 dogs could make it. So he's doing a swim. He was considering our swim, him and his 2 dogs. And I just think it's lovely to keep getting all these different ideas.
Wow, have we heard back from Man Plus Dogs?
No, we haven't. I have put a call out to say how far did he go, but I don't know. Okay. And then another one that I really love today was a swim safari from a mum that began at 4 a.m. when she started posting from Wastwater. And at one point she stopped for coffee in Ambleside and took a picture of her very, very organised mum piece of A4 paper with all the swims. And after 3 swims, there was a little brief injunction that said school run. So I thought that's dedication, isn't it? You know, get 3 in before the school run, and then she's carrying on until 10 o'clock tonight.
That is amazing. Fantastic. Well, we're going to get through lots of different people's swims today from all walks of life. And if any of you who are listening in have any questions that you would like to ask any people, please stick them in the chat. And I'll try and get to those as well. My brain, by the way, is really going to struggle with this. I've currently got 3 pieces of paper, and I'm struggling here. So if anyone can put some questions in the chat, that will be very good to have. Right, we're going to move on now to Mark Harper. And Mark has managed to jump himself up the queue tonight because he's got some very important domestic duties to attend to later. Mark Harper, welcome. Could you tell us a bit about where you are, who you are, and what sort of swimming you've been up to recently?
Well, I'm currently in Norway. I'm generally Brighton based, but my wife's Norwegian. The kids have been going to school in Norway for a while. I've been commuting, so Corona came and I came here. So I've been doing a lot of swimming in Norway recently, including my first time I had to use a chainsaw to get through the ice during the summer.
In the summer?
Sorry, in the winter.
Wow, I knew these Norwegians were tough, but yeah, the summertime, that's pushing it.
No, not down here. But my background, the reason I suppose I've come to swimming, I sort of started swimming and in the sea kind of by chance nearly 20 years ago. But my background is that I'm a doctor. My first research interest was in keeping people warm during surgery, and now I've moved on to doing research into why swimming is good for you and how we can use it to help people's health, basically, particularly mental health. We found is really good. And so we just finished the study, just about to write up publish a study about a course we ran for people in North Devon, where people with anxiety and depression, and we through Chill UK, which is a fantastic thing run by Mike Morris, we got them, ran a course for them, and the results have been just extraordinary. How effective it has been for anxiety and depression, and also we're in the middle of running some courses for NHS workers who we reckon, I mean, it's good evidence that they're a bit burnt out and stressed as a result of the pandemic, particularly. I mean, it burnt out and stressed the whole time, really. And so we just begin to run some courses, some in Cornwall, some in London, and some in Brighton.
Wow. What can you tell me a little bit more about what sort of swimming you're connecting with helping anxiety and depression? Is this sort of swimming vigorously or jumping in rivers? What sort of tell me more.
Absolutely nothing vigorous at all about it. It's very important that it's just bathing, I think, is probably a better way of putting it. It can get a bit vigorous. I mean, the North Devon waves can be a bit vigorous. And I think that adds to the aspect of it. And, you know, that little sense of danger is part of it. You know, gives people a sense of achievement. And, you know, we all know it's just great fun. But we're also, the London courses just in Parliament Hill, Lido. So, you know, I think it's the community, it's the cold, it's getting outside, you know, it's all these things, a little bit of exercise, you know, even just walking to the swimming pool, getting in the pool, it's enough to get your heart rate up. It's, you know, you don't need to do, I mean, this is the key message, and this is one of the things I love about the OSS, is it's not about long swims. Yes, okay, this is the longest swim, but yeah, it's about just getting in the water, getting outside and getting in the water.
I would imagine that everyone who's watching this evening will just intuitively agree with what you're saying about the connection between outdoor swimming and well-being. But how do we go about trying to reach people who are suffering with anxiety or depression, but who haven't yet made the connection between the two? How do you go about helping people who don't yet know about the love of swimming?
Well, I think one of the things is, you know, it's just become a thing. You know, it's just out there in the media, and you know, this is why I send myself, you know, every interview that comes my way, it's oh, yeah, go on, I'll do that. You know, just so I can get it out there and get the message out there. And the other thing, well, what we did in Devon for the first course was, you know, we just sent stuff out on social media through GPs. There's the coming online is a thing called social prescribing. So people look, rather than looking to prescribe drugs for things, they prescribe activities, and it could be walking, could be art, or it could be outdoor swimming. And I think that's the kind of thing. And you know, so we started there with our first chill hub, and I think Mike's now got about 10 chill hubs set up around the country to run this summer. Yeah, coming up. You know, he's done a great job of setting the whole concept up so you can just, you know, there's somewhere near you where you can be introduced, you know, because a lot of people are quite rightly a bit nervous about it. And, you know, we're trying to set up where people, an easy way to access the water, to get that confidence. And as we all know, once you're used to it and once you know where your limits are, you just get on and do it yourself. You know, you've got your little group, your community, and away you go.
Thank you. We've got two questions here from the chat which are relevant. One from Sophie, which is asking, how do you sign up for the NHS swim? So perhaps you can direct us towards that. And the second question from an unnamed spouse: how do I get my wife while swimming? She loves pool swimming, but is worried about the cold, which I can well agree with. On my wall here, I have a poster made by an artist friend of mine, Anna Brones, that says bits, pits, and nips. So there's a certain concern about the beginnings of the cold. So how do you sign up for the NHS, and how do you overcome the worry of the cold for newbies?
Well, the NHS course is all signed up for now, but we are going to run some later in North London, but actually in West Reservoir, so not in the main bit. That's going to run in September. I think the answer to that is go to Chill UK. I think it's chilluk.org, but if you look up Chill UK, you'll find the right website, and it's sort of kind of coordinated through there. About getting into the water, I think the best thing is that start when it's warm. Remember, you don't have to be in for very long. You just have to get in. You know, what I say is stay in as long as it takes to get your breath back, which is about 3 minutes. Make sure you get your face in the water. That gives, I mean, I can't go into it now, but there are reasons why you want to get your face in the water as well. Put your face in 3 times, just get out. 3 minutes, 3 times. You have to do it 3 times. The second time's the worst. First time, you're kind of just nervous and the second time is the worst because it just is. And then the third time you begin to enjoy it.
Great, thank you. I should also point out that there's a lot of information on the OSS website about this as well. So dive in there and have a look on there. Mark, I'm going to ask you, we've got about 3 minutes left with you. Can you tell me about what you did for the longest swim?
For the longest swim, it wasn't an especially long swim, but it was the longest swim I've ever done with my 12-year-old child. So early in the winter, he, basically, we don't let him play on his computer on a Sunday. But we said you can have a bit of time on a Sunday if you come swimming with me. And so he started swimming with me in the winter. And the first time that was all right. Second time, after that, never going to do it again. Third time, but he did because he was so desperate to play on his computer. Third time, he absolutely loved it. And so we've been doing it. He joined me in the ice hole in the middle of winter and doing the thing. So the sea here's actually still 12 degrees, bit long, bit cold for a 12-year-old. But there's a lake I found just by work, which is just stunning. And we went round there, and it's a 500-meter swim round there. So it was his longest open water swim, and it was our longest swim together.
That's fantastic. And what did he make of it? And also importantly for that age group, what do his peers at school make of it?
He just loves it. I mean, it's just remarkable how he spontaneously just started loving it without. I don't try and influence him especially. And he came out. He's just so pleased, so proud of the achievement. And and there's that great feeling we get from the cold water, which I'm sure he gets as well. His mates, I mean, he just loves going in. I don't know what they think of it, but whenever they do it, we live on an island here, and so the school they often go out swimming, and like handball training the other day, they went swimming instead of handball training. It's the end of the season, and he's always the first in. It's all about I was in the thing. So I think he loves boasting about it. I don't know quite what his mates' reactions are to it.
Oh, that's a fantastic thing. And for young kids swimming, they tend to get colder quicker. So do you grease him up with whale fat, being in Norway, or speedos, or what?
A bit of neoprene. Yeah.
So swimming wetsuits for both of you.
Yeah. Well, I don't use wetsuit. I don't even own a wetsuit. So it's I think one of the key things is being warm when you get in. It's such a vital thing. So I make sure he's warm. We jog down there, walk the dog down there. He's got a wetsuit, gloves, shoes, hat, all those things. And he's very much, when it's really cold, he's very much in and out. But this weekend, 20 degrees in the lake, he's absolutely 500 meters, he's absolutely fine. He did wear a wetsuit.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Mark. Now, thank you very much. We're going to move from a man who owns a chainsaw but no wetsuit to Ben from Project Seagrass.
I'm here.
Hooray! Now, you have a wonderful floral shirt. Are you a chainsaw or a wetsuit kind of guy?
Well, I own both.
Okay.
And you can see, as a marine biologist, I have multiple wetsuits, and so it's, but I do have a chainsaw. Living in here in Sweden, you kind of need to get through the ice too, especially in the winter. So it's needed.
Okay, wow. I think, call me a wimp, but once we get into chainsaw season, I tend to light a log fire and open a few reading books for about 6 months. But I shouldn't be saying that tonight, should I? Ben, what did you do today? Been for a swim?
I've been for a swim. I'm lucky enough to live on a lake. So I've swam 7 kilometers today. My longest swim. So I'm pretty happy with that.
7
Yeah.
kilometers, that sounds like a long swim to me. Why did you decide to swim so far for the longest swim today?
I just like pushing myself to see how far I can go, really. And as like this picture shows, you know, yeah, I'd rather do things all in and try as hard as I can. Yeah.
Okay. And so what was the purpose behind today's swim? Was it just full on see how far you could get, or did you have some goal in mind?
7K is the longest I've swam, so I was aiming to go for, yeah, as long as I could do. And next time I'll go to 10, I think. So I think that's the like official Olympic swim marathon distance. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to aim for that next. But I followed Ross Edgley on his UK swim, and I have this grand idea in the back of my mind to swim the length of Sweden eventually, maybe in a few years. Crazy, I know, but yeah.
Well, you've said it out loud now, and this conversation is being recorded, so we can see that as your first commitment to that. So that's fantastic. You're from a Project Seagrass. What is seagrass, and why should I care about it?
Well, seagrass is a marine flowering plant. It's much like the grass you have in your back garden. It's seeds, it flowers, it has roots. But the kind of unique characteristic is that it's evolved 200 million years ago to live a life underwater. And really unique in the fact that it was it's the only plant that actually returned to the sea. And it's found on every continent except Antarctica. It grows up into Greenland in the really cold seas, all the way to the tropics, where there's much greater diversity and things like that. But unfortunately, it's being lost at this alarming rate, and it's kind of this unsung hero, in my opinion, of the ocean. It absorbs huge amounts of carbon, especially in the Mediterranean, up to 35 times more than rainforests. In some instances, it provides habitat for fish, things like cod and plaice, which are really important for our favorite kind of fish and chips and things like that. And it also protects the coast from erosion, and more swimming related, it keeps the environment clean. So where there's seagrass, water's free from harmful bacteria, and it's much calmer. So it's a really vital habitat that we need to protect.
Okay. Thank you. Needless to say, the Outdoor Swimming Society has a fantastic page about seagrass, a swimmer's guide to seagrass. If you look on the OSF's website, Ben, what's going wrong with seagrass? What's causing the decline, and what can we do about it?
I think the main thing is been sidelined for so long. It's a bit like wild swimming in that sense. There's a niche kind of community that cares about it, but for the most part, it's kind of this weird habitat that nobody really cares about, and it's slowly becoming this kind of, especially in the UK, we're really starting to take kind of pride in our seagrass meadows and the work that's been done to restore them. And I think as more people are aware of what seagrass is, the benefits and things that it provides, I think then we'll start to see more recognition and more kind of action towards protecting it. So my message to everyone, whenever I'm doing events like this, or whenever someone asks me about what can I do to protect seagrass, and it's this power of, I don't know, what the power of 7 or whatever. If I tell you how great seagrass is, I want you to go and tell your spouse, your friends, how great seagrass is too, and get that ball rolling, so that eventually we conquer the world with Project Seagrass, and seagrass takes over.
Brilliant. And do you have a website you can tell us so we can go find out more?
The Project Seagrass website is projectseagrass.org. And if you find seagrass when you're out swimming, when you're at the beach, you can download our mobile app, Seagrass Spotter. And that's also a website, seagrassspotter.org. But we have a mobile app and you can take a picture. It's a handy ID guide and it uploads it to a database that's then governments across the world download, and we can use those sightings to help conserve our seagrass.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Ben. So that's projectseagrass.org and seagrassspotter.org. And thank you for all the hard work you're doing there and for, well, teaching me something tonight as well. Thank you, Ben. Next, we're going to move potentially to Vicky Watson. Do we have a Vicky Watson? There's some sage nodded. Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Vicky, you win the best hair of the event. I'm going to give you that award now, even before some other people come along. Is that wonderful hair swim proof?
It is. I've only had it for a few weeks, and yes, it is. It's not as bright as it was, but yeah, it is swim proof in pool and open water.
Oh, awesome! I love it. Vicky, you're from I'm not sure whether you started or you're part of the Lincoln Open Water Swimming Tribe and the Open Water Ladies Relay. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
So the OW Ladies Relay, we're a group of females, ladies. We were the second team to do a double crossing of the North Channel, so from Ireland to Scotland and back again. We're the only 5-person team to have completed it, and the only all-female team to complete it. So we still have world records for that. And we've also won the Catalina Channel 2 ways as well. And we're the only all-female team outside of the America that have actually completed that so far. So wow. Our hope is to do the whole of the Ocean 7, but you know, Corona and life and families and things get in the way. We do what we do.
What's the Ocean 7 for those who aren't familiar with channel bagging?
So the Ocean 7 is what I think it's WOWSA, isn't it? The World Swimming Society. Other people will tell you exactly what it stands for. They've determined what the hardest, most challenging oceans are across the world. So obviously the English Channel, which we wanted to do last, but we've got the North Channel in Ireland, got Catalina, which is in the States, Gibraltar. This is hard. I'm going to try and remember them all. Molokai in Hawaii, which is the one I want to do next. Got New Zealand, and also you've got in Japan as well. So there's different reasons why they're all very challenging. So for the North Channel, my coldest swim is 11 degrees. Obviously, it's under channel rules, so it's only a swimsuit, cozy, and pair of goggles. There was a lot of jellyfish, a lot of jellyfish there as well.
Tell me about the hazards of jellyfish as a swimmer.
They can sting. They can sting. I mean, until you've been stung, you don't really know what you're going to have, what sort of reaction you might have. So we did have some EpiPens just in case. My GP said, you know, if you have to use this EpiPen, please stop. Please stop swimming. We're like, okay, we'll do that. We will do that. But yes, to me, they feel different for everybody. But for me, it feels like a nettle. So when you're swimming, I had an hour of swimming through them, where you were literally putting your hand into them and pushing them out of the way, and the whole of the face was covered. Everywhere is just stung. But luckily it's cold, so it doesn't feel as bad. So it helps.
Wow. So you're yet another member of the hardcore swimming tribe that we've got here this evening. How much training are you doing as your tribe together?
Anyone that knows me knows I'm awful. I do not train enough. I love being in the open water. I think we just saw a picture of me floating. That's what I love doing. I love being, it sounds very hippie, but I love being part of nature. I love just relaxing. It's that I know nowadays it's all about mindfulness and the meditation. I've been doing this for 10 years now, and I guess those words weren't about as much then. And then it was just somewhere I can be myself. Somewhere I can just shut the world off and get into my own thoughts, but not in a negative way, in a nice, relaxing way. So my training's not very good.
I can think of ways to go swimming that involve nature, relaxation, being at peace with the world, that don't involve jellyfish, EpiPens, or 11 degrees water. There seems to be a bit of a disconnect between your.
But that's nature, isn't it? That's nature. Nature is cold. Nature is there. You know, when we go in the water, we're sharing the water with people, the animals, and the life that lives there. We're the people coming into there. So, yeah, that makes it real. It's I don't know. For me, the first time I went into cold water, I remember feeling it on the whole of my body, and for the first time, I felt really alive. And in a really good way, you know, not with alcohol, not with any other way that you might want to do it. You just feel alive as a person. And I think especially as a Black woman, I really want to sort of show the representation out there that there is Black people that can swim. We can dye our hair. I've only just cut it because it used to be quite long, but that's because I was spending more time in the pool. But as a Black woman, that, you know, as a Black person, you know, the water's out there for everybody. It's not just for the white people. It's not just for the middle class. It's for everybody. It's there. It's free. It's something you can do. You don't have to have all the kit. You don't have to spend loads of money. You can just, as I did last week, I just literally had my bikini on when we went for a dog walk, and we went past the lake. I was like, oh, I'll just pop in, which was lucky. I had the bikini on. Apart from now, I've got swimmer's itch. But the point is, you don't actually need it. You don't need all the gear and all the idea if you don't want it. You can be a very cheap, just beautiful way of connecting with yourself and connecting with others. I've met amazing friends through swimming.
And are you noticing through the community of the Outdoor Swimming Society, or anywhere else that you're familiar with that I'm not, are you noticing a change in the number of Black women getting involved in outdoor swimming?
Very, very slowly. Very, very slowly. I'm in a Facebook group called Black Girls Swim. Majority of it, probably like 95% of it, is in America. The rest of it, there's a couple of us here in the UK. There's a few. We're starting. Very few of us there, and I think the more people see us here, the more they're going to realise, oh, it's, you know, this is for them as well. It's, you know, something we can try, and it's quite nice when we're out. I'll make that point of, which I'm sure everyone here does as well, you know, having that conversation, sort of going, oh, hi, yes, of course you can come in. Yes, it's fine with your hair. Here's a really good cap that you can use, and you know, because there's an issue with hair care, with black hair, and you know, so it's just to have that conversation, make it open for everybody, and that's what it's about. Open water should be accessible to absolutely everybody because it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if anyone in the audience has got any questions for Vicky about, well, hair care, jellyfish, or relaxation in nature, any of her specialist subjects, please put them in the chat. I'm hoping that we'll have some time for general questions later on. But thank you very much, Vicky. I'm now moving on, hopefully, to Joanna Scanlon. Joanna, are you here? Joanna is still in the bath.
Oh, no.
She's
here.
out of the bath. Are you in the bath or out of the bath?
My hair's wet, but I'm here.
Great.
Hi.
How was the bath? Nice?
Lovely. Have to have a bath every day.
Good. Quite right too. Yes, very good. Good hygiene tips here. We're covering everything this evening. Thank you very much for joining us, Joanna. Have you been swimming today?
No, I haven't. I'm afraid I've been slaving at work today. So I've only just got back, so I have not. But I did swim on Saturday with Kate and a number of other people down the River Avon, River Froome into the River Avon, which was fabulous. There we go.
Was that did you meet up then? Was that part of your the longest swim plans?
It was. Yeah, I mean, I think the solstice, the summer solstice, the two solstices and the equinoxes are huge moments in the year. And I can't think really of a better way, particularly of the summer solstice, to experience it than taking, even though it's not, it's taking advantage of a day that lasts a lot longer. So you can, you know, travel, you can get somewhere, you can do it well into the evening. You can keep going with it in a way that's much harder when it's, you know, the December version. But it gives you a sense that you, even though you're in water, that we are completely subject to nature, and that is, you know, the light, the warmth, the water are what sustain us as people. And I can't think of a better way to experience it. There I am with my swim hat having gone a bit awry, but yeah, here we see the paddle board. So I did it with partly with my paddleboard, and because I felt so unfit and so unsure I'd be able to manage it, I thought, well, let's take the paddleboard. And that has been a complete revolution for me, being able to kind of mix and match a bit, so that you can swim, you can go places, you've got something to carry your stuff on, you've got a way to just get about that would have been much trickier without a paddleboard. So I think that's a kind of revolution, really. I'm amazed about stand-up paddleboards. I think they are a genius invention. I'm not sure who did invent them, but they are very worth having.
So do you swim towing the paddleboard?
Yeah. Well, actually, on this occasion, somebody in our group said, well, I'll tow your paddleboard behind my paddleboard,
Okay.
which obviously is kind of like a convoy. But in fact, because you always have the ankle strap, I did do a little bit swimming with it behind me, and I didn't notice any drag, really. I mean, we were in a good, pretty fast running river, but downstream, but it felt like quite an easy thing to do. So it made me think a bit more like, yes, that might be something to do in the summer, just going solo with a paddleboard, dragging it behind me.
Yeah, just you mentioning that has instantly got me scheming of plans. It suddenly makes a swim have more potential for being a journey as well as just a dip, doesn't it?
Yeah, you can take a tent, you can could do lots of things if you know. I mean, we did have to countenance 2 weirs, so that has to be thought through a bit, how you're going to get your paddleboard over a weir and down a weir. But luckily Kate had done a lot of had recce'd this journey, so she knew where those were coming up. I mean, it was a bit like The Revenant, swimming along and then suddenly hearing this sound, this noise ahead of you, and thinking, am I going to go over the edge?
But fewer bear attacks.
You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing about it was I felt we really would have benefited from a botanist being with us, because what I love about like a river swim like that is the perspective. You're down here and I came face to face with a duck's nest, and she was there with her one baby. She was very surprised to see me at that level, arriving kind of swimming into her. And I thought this whole set of plants that we're swimming amongst, I don't really know what they are. I mean, it would be so interesting to hear more from Ben about river grass as well as seagrass, because there are these incredibly beautiful long tendrils of plants that are in that kind of a river, which feel totally unfamiliar. It's almost like going to the moon, actually.
Yeah. Is that your preferred type of swim, a down swim, A to B with a bunch of friends? Is that your ideal swim?
I like really all swim. I mean, all swims are like a bath, as I say, that it's as little as that or as big as a big sea. I think I grew up in North Wales, and very lucky in North Wales to have every kind of swim available. We swam an awful lot in rivers and streams. There are the most majestic and fabulous lakes that are cold as well. I like cold water, I really enjoy it. And the sea, loads and loads of sea, and all three. I like the mix, really. I love the tidal sense with the sea, with the river, as I say, that connection to plants, animals, nature, fish. I mean, there's nothing more exciting than swimming in a river and then suddenly feeling a very large fish hit you in the thigh. That sense that like, oh, there's surprises here. You don't really know what's beneath you. And lakes I like because they feel, I think it may be a misapprehension, but they feel safe. There's something kind of still and manageable about them. I know that's not really true, but there's a sense it's an easier kind of a swim, possibly.
And what about urban full moon swims?
Well, I haven't done urban full moon swims.
I thought you did them in.
I did, but not on the Thames, but not in the urban bit of the Thames.
Ah, okay.
So with Kate in the early days of when I first met Kate, which is a long time ago, and we used to do the full moon swims along the Thames, but in the upper reaches, the kind of closer to Reading, Oxford, that kind of territory. That they are the most memorable things of my life, actually. If I had to shut my eyes and somebody said to me, take you back to that one moment in your whole life that felt special, it would be swimming down the Thames in the dark alone in the middle of the night and seeing the silhouettes of cows' shapes on the banks. I mean, they were just profoundly affecting, and beautiful and fun. And I think the whole thing for me about wild swimming is this balancing between risk and safety, finding the point which is your point. You have to know yourself, really. You have to know your own limitations, but you also have to take yourself out just to the very edge of what you feel is safe for you, and then even maybe 1 or 2 inches further, and that, but also with real mindfulness about what genuine risks there are, and putting in as many safety measures as you can make. And I think those are the moments when you feel truly, truly alive.
Oh, that is a wonderful summary of, I think, a lot that the OSS is trying to encourage people towards. And I veer towards recklessness in my own life. So I'm always admiring of the OSS getting this lovely balance that you just articulated well, of the pushing towards the edge of risk, but also being mindful of the dangers of water. And I should, on that note, then, someone in the chat, Imogen, has pointed out, and this is it's definitely worth watching YouTube videos on this, of the safety of ankle straps on SUPs on rivers. They're not always the ideal thing, Imogen points out. So do a bit of Google if you're planning to SUP, particularly down speedy rivers. Have a Google of that. Also, Oliver points out for you an app called PlantNet, which will help you identify all these things you're frog's eye with. And a question for you about river swimming. What do you do about swans?
Keep your distance, be respectful. We did pass quite a lot of swans, actually, on Saturday. I mean, they're very beautiful, aren't they? It's nice to be on their level. It's nice to be close to them. I mean, and the pairs of them, just watching them together and the way they protect each other. They're sort of very aware of each other in a lovely way. But, you know, I don't think it's advisable to get just sort of, you know, head straight towards the swans. I would keep my distance.
One thing I enjoy about swimming in rivers or anywhere is feeling that I'm not king of the castle. Every creature around is better at swimming than me and is better adapted for that environment than me. And I feel it reminds me very much of being a visitor.
Yeah.
So that's...
Yeah. I mean, that's what feels good, is knowing your place within the wider world. And for a lot of our lives, we feel like we're running the show, and then suddenly you're in an environment where you remember, because I think we do have an instinctive understanding of our place, but we have to be reminded of it. And that's one of the compulsions towards being in nature and towards being in uncomfortable nature, either cold or you know, running across deserts or whatever it might be, is this desire we have to know our place in the whole.
Yeah, and I think the sheer differentness, the otherness of water leads me to my final question to you, which is to ask you about, you have a very busy, well, I'm imagining a very busy, quite hectic, stressful, perhaps occasionally, working life. How does swimming fit? How do you manage to fit it in? And secondly, is it an important counter to other aspects of your life?
Yeah. Well, I don't think everybody has a stressful life, don't they? Everybody.
I don't.
Really, I'm
No.
so happy. That is great to hear. I have a few tips from you later. I think it's just really nice. It's really nice to not have a stressful life, but life is demanding, especially with electronics and communications, transport. But the fitting of it in is just a matter of planning, I think. It's just knowing that you can do it. I've got buddies who love to swim, so there's WhatsApp groups with, you know, different WhatsApp groups, lots of people. So you throw quite a few opportunities out and see what can land. And I think the other thing for me was I didn't really start swimming properly until I was about 40, because as a child I'd swum a lot, but I was always breaststroke, kind of messing about in water, even in pools. And I think it's about, I decided to go back to school and learn how to swim properly again at 40. And I had a fantastic teacher who was the children's teacher at the local school, and he got me into swimming crawl. And so from being able to swim crawl properly, I then could like do longer distances because I could manage my energy better. And so it's those kind of shortcuts, I think, make it possible to make swimming easier, is optimizing yourself, your time, your energy, and your social connections.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Joanna. It's lovely to hear your stories of swimming with Kate. Thank you. Before I move on, this week I found on, I think it was on Netflix, a series about swimmers in Australia trying to get into the Olympics. If I don't know if anyone's watching that, but I've been really enjoying that, and I love just watching people who can properly swim, particularly the underwater shots of that. And also, I'd love to hear in the chat from anyone else who has WhatsApp groups involving groups trying to go swimming, because I'm very jealous. I'd love to be on a WhatsApp group of people trying to rustle up people to go for swims. So let's hear if you have any of those. Good evening, Paul. Thank you for joining us. I'm not sure how many politics professors we have on the call, but I'm honoured, and I'll try and think of something clever to say. Have you been swimming today?
No, not today. I swam yesterday morning at the Crack of Sparrows.
Okay, and what is the Crack of Sparrows at this time of year?
Well, actually, it wasn't all that early. We didn't tow in until 5:30, but we had to be there for a 4 o'clock start. It was a 10K.
Ooh, okay, it tires me out thinking of it. River, lake, ocean, what's your preference?
I guess I'm a lake swimmer and a river swimmer. Kate was talking earlier on about open water being a broad church. Well, that's the word I like to use. And I guess that the two ends of the scale are the poets and peloton. And I think I probably veer a little bit more towards the peloton end of the scale. But I like all of it, but I'm not so comfortable in the sea. So I like my lakes and I like my rivers. Some of you will know that I've been up and down the Dart a few times, and but my real home is somewhere like Crummock Water or Wastwater. But yesterday I had to make do with a local gravel pit. But hey, you know, we do what we can.
Yeah, absolutely. So what's your role within the Outdoor Swimming Society? How do you fit into the scheme of things?
Well, I'm just the guy who turns up to the events and does the swimmers briefing. I do very little. The thing is that everybody thinks that because I'm the mouthy bloke with the microphone, I'm actually running the show, and actually I'm not. I am just the mouthy bloke with the microphone who turns up for the events. You know, all the organisation is happening elsewhere. But my role principally in the last few years has been to kind of calm people down and help them think about the swim and get ready for getting in the water, and use my experience of the courses to give them a few tips before they go in, because everybody's very nervous before any kind of swim. I'm sure that, I mean, one of the things I loved about what people were talking about, what they were doing this weekend, is the sheer range. I mean, just because I did 10K, well, you know, okay, so that's fine. Some people did. Yesterday, the swim I did, there were a lot of people. You were talking also about new swimmers. I mean, that's really exploded, hasn't it? You know, COVID, we're kind of into, I know we don't like to talk about waves when we're talking about COVID, but I kind of think we're into almost the third wave of open water. There was always, the first wave was the hardcore people who were always there, the long distance people. When I was an age grouper growing up in the 70s, they had a page in the Swimming Times that was all about long distance swimming. And then, you know, Kate was very much part of the second wave, the books, you know, and that collision between us all wanting to go outdoors and neoprene. And, you know, we have a big thank you to the triathlon world for introducing us to the swimmer's wetsuit. And now we're kind of into our third wave, which is the next wave. And it's brilliant to see all these people who are talking about the things that we all talked about 10, 12 years ago, you know, when you got nervous and excited about doing a mile at the Great East, or, you know, you thought, and it was important. You were pushing your own boundaries. And then a couple of years later, you did your 10K and what have you. Anyway, the point I'm getting at is that what I do, and what some of you have heard me do before, is to kind of let people know what they're letting themselves in for, calm them down. But as I say, yesterday, this swim, there were 180 people went into the water at Spring Lakes in Long Eaton near Nottingham. And some of them did 750 and some of us did 10K, but we managed not to kill each other and we had a great time. So, and that was happening all over the place, and it's happening every weekend now. That's the great thing, you know, despite COVID. There are so many great events. There was another event this morning on the other side of town here in Nottingham. We've gone from no venues in Nottingham to, over the last few years, we've now got 4 outdoor swimming venues at various times. So it's really exploding.
Yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? What do you think about when you're swimming for 10 kilometers?
All sorts, but mostly the swim. I'm very, I mean, people often ask that question. There are 2 things going on. One is a rhythm. So you're listening to your stroke, and however hard you fight, some kind of tune will come into your head. And I have to say, recently I've been very focused on the song of the florist in Trumpton. Okay, I don't know why. Don't ask me why. But it's that a bouquet for a lady, a nosegay or 2, and it keeps going through my head as my arms go over. So you're thinking about that. So you're thinking about the in a 10K, you're thinking about how your body's responding at each stage. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is, yesterday, because it was a 10K, I was thinking about the Dart, because the Dart 10K swim, a bit of advertising here, but we're all on brand. The Dart 10K is actually 4 swims. Okay, you start off with a nice straight bit, then you've got a slightly wiggly bit, then it gets a bit more wild. The 3rd stage is the completely bonkers bit, and then you've got the end. So it breaks up into 4 pieces. So yesterday we were doing 4 laps at 2.5 kilometers. So that's what I did. I thought about it as being a version of the River Dart. So your thought processes are, you're focusing on the physical. Is this the right stroke for the first lap? You're focusing on the rhythm of your stroke. You're focusing on how you're feeling, particularly as you come into a feed station. Do I need this feed? But you're also thinking about a better place. If the lake you're swimming in is not the most exciting lake in the world, then you try to slip through a kind of channel into somewhere else. Sometimes it's the Dart. Sometimes I go to Buttermere or to Crummock Water.
Okay, within your head. Nice. What I find so fascinating from each person we've spoken to, and I'm sorry each person's been so brief, is just the sheer variety of different ways that we all love doing essentially the same thing. Thank you very much, Paul, for that. I'm going to see, has Callum arrived?
I just want to say Callum McLean was supposed to be with us tonight. He's been doing a sea to source journey in Scotland all day, but unfortunately, obviously, hasn't summited at a place with 4G. So he sends his apologies. Apparently, it's been an absolutely ridiculous route. And he's going to be writing up the story for the next Elsewhere, which is the Outdoor Swimming Society monthly journal. So that's going out on the 3rd of July. I think that's when it will appear, in July rather than August. So he's really sorry he couldn't be here tonight, but we will hear from him in time. And thank you so much for everyone who's taken part in this event. We had, in last count, we had 600 adults and 60 children, over 20 countries signed up for this. So we're going to be doing, as well as for the logbook of longer swims, but we will do an event report on the OSS site and a photo gallery, so we can all just bask in the glow of each other rather than the sun as the solstice, after the solstice. So thank you all.